Going live.
Oh, you could have waited for me to at least sit down.
Well, you were pretty much there. You were like
I know, but then everyone's gonna
squatting.
But then everyone's gonna see my chonkness.
Your beautiful ladiness.
You stop it.
Oh, by the way, it's Charles Cow's birthday today.
Who?
Charles Cow. He was a physicist and electrical engineer that pretty much pioneered the fiber optic networks that we use today. I bring it up because I feel like we owe him some thanks, because we wouldn't be able to be streaming right now if it wasn't for him.
Well, happy birthday, sir.
Yes. It was the Google Doodle today. It's the only reason I know.
Oh, okay.
I can't take full credit to knowing that.
Well, hello. You were just watching our channel. That's nice. That's good. We like when people watch our channel.
Hoping you're liking what you see. And enjoying yourself.
Ugh.
As we usually do. Making this channel.
Right?
Oh, nice. Okay.
You know, I have to say that reading that book through again, I liked it so much more this read through than I did the last time I read it through. And I don't know why, but I feel like I just got so much more out of it this time.
Maybe it's because you were like looking for more stuff and
yeah, maybe
like maybe wondering if I would pick up on certain things made you focus a little bit more on the little details.
It's possible.
Did I guess it was Snape?
You did, but you weren't sure. You kept flip-flopping between Snape, Voldemort, Dumbledore was one of your other guesses.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, I bet it's Dumbledore.
I think I doubled down on Voldemort.
You did, because you're always like, oh, it's always
Hello, Joshua.
Voldemort.
It's always Voldemort?
Yeah, you were like, it's always Voldemort, so it's got to be Voldemort this time.
No, if it was Voldemort, you wouldn't be able to read anything on the page. He would have written so much over it. Him and his monologuing. You would got his full life story for every spell.
Well, it all started out when I was just a boy. Only I could have come up with such a brilliant spell. Only I could have realized in my youth that the correct way to brew this potion surely requires 2 left turns instead of 1. Counterclockwise, Wormtail. Counterclockwise.
Now I'm picturing him like in the cauldron and Wormtail stirring it when he was in there. He's like
just
hitting
yelling
with a big stick, and he's hitting, "Roll away, Wormtail!" and just thud, 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 thud.
Clunk, 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 clunk.
Oh man.
Wormtail.
Man, do they do any SNL skits for Harry Potter?
They actually did.
Oh, they did?
I watched one.
I may have to look that up.
It has nothing to do with Voldemort, though.
No.
Lindsay Lohan plays Hermione, coming back from break, and all of a sudden she has boobs.
Oh, okay.
It's actually kind of awkward.
Oh, Katie, hi.
Yeah, Katie, I didn't tell you. I figured I'd leave it as a surprise. Katie said she'd be here for at least an hour's worth.
Oh, nice. Well, welcome. Oh, believe it. We
Tis happening right now. Oh my gosh. What the Bobbins!
We stream every Thursday and every other Saturday, so can talk to us live at any of those times.
I know, you have plenty of opportunity to chit-chat.
And we even extended this one doing a little book club thing.
Yes, so
Stephen King.
for the first hour, we are reading All the Young Dudes, and then for the second hour, we will be switching to our Stephen King discussion of the next 5 stories in Night Shift.
But while we're on this,
While we're talking about Harry Potter,
let's talk about
Harry Potter,
no Lupin. What he's been up
Lupin,
to.
the werewolf,
Exactly.
the half-breed.
Oh, real quick before we get into that, is tonight daylight savings time?
It was for Katie. I'm not sure
Okay.
if it is for us. I keep getting
I
notices
think-
about it, but I didn't pay attention to the day. That's really terrible.
Oh, okay. I just remember that spring hit me out of nowhere. I didn't know it was. I was so tired that morning. So okay.
But at least we gain an hour this time.
Yeah,
so
that's
you shouldn't be tired.
exactly. Oh, Australia.
Always wanted
Beautiful
to go.
place.
Still want to go.
Yeah, I do too. Boy, it must be like 5 in the morning for you there. No, not that. No,
They're on the
earlier.
opposite side
Yeah.
of the planet.
So I'm saying it's late. It's like early morning there.
It's got to be like 7 or 8 in the morning.
Yeah, maybe that. I'm going a little bit too far. Stretching.
Clocks always change on a Sunday morning here. Angela, thank you so much.
My goodness, Angela, thank you.
Every time. You are so generous. Thank you very, very much. And welcome to the stream.
And yeah, okay.
You like that face?
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Let's
do a brief recap maybe first.
Yeah. That's what we're doing.
Okay,
yeah.
we were off by a little bit. It's 10:30 in the morning.
Oh, okay. I obviously need to work on my time zones. So yeah, last time we celebrated Christmas.
And everything was peaches and glory and lovely until Walpurga
Walpurga Scrooge
showed up and
ruined everyone's fun.
yeah, she really killed it hardcore, didn't she?
Yeah, she did.
Mr. and Mrs. Potter seem like lovely people.
They do, and I don't think they wanted to send Sirius away.
No.
It was like, but he's having fun.
You know what, though? I was thinking about this. Mr. and Mrs. Potter seem like such lovely people. Wouldn't they have just been the most lovely grandparents to Harry?
Yeah, they would have.
They would
I
have
was trying not to think about that.
They would have.
It just makes me sad.
They would have spoiled him rotten.
Yeah.
They're the Weasleys if the Weasleys had money.
Yeah. Weasley-esque. Yeah.
Yeah, they're the Weasleys if the Weasleys had money.
I know.
And only one child. Instead of, a ton.
Yeah. That's why they had money.
That's the fact. That and, Mr. Potter was an entrepreneur.
That too. Wait, I thought, oh no, this is his grandparents. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, no.
Thank you very much for thinking we are a super service. We try.
We do. We try our best.
So, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's leap in.
I mean, that was really the big thing that happened.
Christmas time, it was Christmas time.
And now what's gonna happen? Is the wedding gonna happen?
The summary says, this chapter is kind of a downer. Don't read it if you're already feeling a little blue.
Well, at least we're starting out with it, not ending with it.
Well, Lupin's pretty much a roller coaster, so we might end on it too. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Poor dude. Not that I'm blaming him. He's got reasons for being a downer. I'm just saying.
Darn Debbie Downer.
Chapter 31. Second Year. Sirius returns. Saturday, 6th of January, 1973. Peter, James and Remus arrived promptly at King's Cross to return to Hogwarts on the Saturday before term began. They all peered around looking for their fourth, but Sirius was not there, nor was Regulus. As the train pulled out of the platform, James went in search of someone to ask. He returned with his hands over his nose, where a large boil was beginning to form. Narcissa said it's none of my business, he explained, sitting down heavily. Maybe they're using the flu network? Peter guessed. Maybe his mum didn't trust him to get on the train with us? Maybe. James stared out the window, rubbing his sore nose. Remus had never seen him so unhappy. James had been missing Sirius more than any of them, and had been so excited at the prospect of seeing him once they got to London. Remus and Peter tried their hardest to cheer him up, but it was as if he was missing his right arm. Before leaving, Mr. and Mrs. Potter said they would see what they could do about having Remus to stay with them over the summer too, and he thanked them profusely. It wasn't likely, though, so he didn't get his hopes up. Instead, he just tried to be grateful that he was returning to school for a few more months with his friends. Most of them, anyway. Sirius was nowhere to be found at dinner that evening, nor did he appear by the time they were getting ready for bed. James and Remus had brought his Christmas presents back for him and piled them on top of his pillow, still wrapped in bright shiny paper and ribbon. 3 of the packages were from Andromeda, and Remus knew they were albums. Sirius had asked for Everything and Anything by David Bowie. Sunday, 7th of January, 1973. On Sunday morning, the bed was still empty, and the 3 marauders sat around trying to distract themselves with homework. Remus had finished his and took the opportunity to get started on his Christmas books, now that he could invoke his reading spell once more. James took to pacing the room, went to ask McGonagall where Sirius was. She didn't know, and even tried Narcissa a second time. She cursed him again. Finally, he went outside to do a few laps of the Quidditch pitch on his broom. Peter went too, with a box of biscuits to nibble on while he watched. Remus stayed indoors where it was warm, reading, or at least pretending to. Now that he was finally alone, he began to think about things Mr. Potter's friend Darius had said about his father, turning the new information over in his mind like a coin. His father was good at dueling. He'd heard that before. Lyle Lupin had obviously had a temper too. This was a new piece of intelligence, and an odd thing to know, after so long not knowing really anything. For the first time, Remus considered that his bouts of rage might not have anything to do with his condition. And who was Greyback? The name alone made him feel hot and uncomfortable. He wished more than anything that James and Peter hadn't been there to hear it all. Remus sat by the window in Gryffindor Tower, his book slack in his lap, staring into space and trying to make sense of a puzzle he didn't have all the pieces to. Occasionally he glanced out the window to catch a sight of James acting even more recklessly than usual. "What the hell is he playing at?" a voice squeaked over Remus's shoulder. It was Lily Evans. She was sipping a mug of tea, staring at James on his broom. "Nervous energy," Remus shrugged, not turning to look back at her. The light from the window would cast his face into sharp relief, and his scar, while no longer red and angry, was still very noticeable. "James Potter nervous?" Lily scoffed. "I had no idea who's capable of such complex emotions." "Oi!" Remus objected, still looking out of the window. "It's not been a great Christmas for him, all right?" Okay, I'm sorry. I know he's your friend." She always said that right after she insulted one of the marauders. "How was your Christmas?" "Great, thanks. You?" "Brilliant." He could hear the grin in her voice. "Mum and Dad finally let me get an owl." "Oh, terrific." "What about you?" "Got some books." "From your, the people you live with?" He finally looked at her, even more irritated. Why wouldn't she just get lost? "No, from my friends." "Oh, of course, yeah." Lily was consciously looking away, at the space just to the left of Remus's head. He sighed heavily. Everyone was going to see it anyway. At least Lily was polite enough not to ask any rude questions. Remus went upstairs in the end, drew his bed curtains together and settled into conjurer's cartography. The others eventually came up for bed too, speaking quietly, thinking he was asleep. The exercise had done nothing to calm James down. Remus could hear his rapid heartbeat and smell the cloying scent of anxiety. It was perhaps an hour after lights out that the door creaked open again. Sirius had returned. There was no mistaking his familiar footfall. Remus felt a wave of relief wash over him, a knot in his stomach that he hadn't realized was there, beginning to uncoil. James and Peter slept on as Sirius tried to keep his movements quiet, creeping into the room and over to his bed, quickly climbing in and drawing the curtains. Remus lay still, listening to Sirius lying still too. There was something different in his breathing. Eventually curiosity got the better of him and he got out of bed. Not wanting to intrude, Remus trod as close to Sirius's curtains as he dared and whispered, "Sirius?" "James?" he replied eagerly. "Remus." "Oh." There was a moment's awkward silence. I just want to sleep, Lupin. Speak tomorrow, okay?" "Okay." Remus padded back to his own bed and closed his eyes, feeling no less concerned.
What the heck, Sirius? James? No, Remus. You know. Your other friend? Oh, just you.
Yeah, I don't want to talk to you. Go away.
What the heck?
What the heck?
You've been missing... Sirius, what are you doing?
Monday, 8th of January, 1973. The next morning, Sirius had already left before any of them woke up. His present, still unopened, had been pushed to the side of the bed. His trunk had arrived at some point, and his broom was back on its shelf. James saved him a seat at breakfast, but he never turned up, and they didn't see him at all until their first lesson. "He wouldn't miss McGonagall," James said confidently as they pressed toward the classroom. "He loves Transfiguration." When they entered the room, however, they were all in for a shock. There was another boy sitting in Sirius's seat. He was smallish and hunched over, with pale, pointed features and big blue eyes. His hair was shorn close to his scalp in the same way that matrons shaved Remus's head every summer. It looked darker than Remus's, though. "Who's that?" Peter whispered a little bit too loudly. The boy turned to look at them. "Sirius!" James gaped. Sirius coloured slightly and looked straight ahead as if he hadn't seen them at all. James slid into the seat beside him. "What happened? Where have you been? What did she do to you?" Sirius shook his head. "Later," he murmured. The classroom had filled up now, and everyone seemed to be whispering behind their backs. Remus couldn't blame them. He couldn't stop staring either. It wasn't just the lack of hair, although that was incredibly disconcerting. Sirius just wasn't Sirius without his hair. He also had dark shadows under his eyes, and there was not a trace of humour on his lips. "All right, settle down, please." McGonagall entered the room. She glanced at Sirius. Her eyes widened for a millisecond as she recognized him, but she said nothing, addressing the class. "Your end-of-year exams begin in 3 months. Let's see who's been paying attention." McGonagall didn't call on Sirius once to answer a question, though it was usually the only way she could get him to pay attention. Nor did she bother any of the other Marauders, who spent the entire lesson shooting worried looks at their friend. When Transfiguration ended, they packed up their things and followed Sirius hurriedly out of the door. "What happened?" James asked, trying to keep up with Black's brisk clip. "I said later," Sirius returned. "Wait until break, okay?" "But you... what did she..." "I'm fine." The next lesson, History of Magic, was agony. James was beside himself and even resorted to passing notes to Sirius, who steadfastly ignored them. He sat stiffly, back straight, eyes on the board. For the first time in 2 years, Remus saw him actually reading his history text in class. Something was very wrong indeed. They couldn't get out of history fast enough. James grabbed Sirius's arm and practically marched him outside to the nearest courtyard, where they chased away a group of first-year girls who were doing handstands against a wall, skirts tucked into their knickers. It was icy cold out, though no snow had fallen yet. The sky was paper white and a storm was on its way. Once the coast was clear, James stared Sirius down, eyes full of feeling, deep creases in his brow. "What happened?" Sirius sighed heavily. "What's it look like?" He gestured at his head. Remus had the peculiar feeling that neither of them cared he and Peter were there. That's just how it was between them, like their nightly chats. "Your mum did that?" "Well, I didn't do it myself, did I?" he snapped angrily. James didn't react, just kept looking at his friend. That was James's secret, Remus realized suddenly. He was always patient, and he never took anything personally. How else could you be best friends with someone like Sirius Black? Sirius was now rooting in his bag and pulled out his red Gryffindor hat, which he had so far never worn. He crammed it over his shorn head. "Bloody freezing," he muttered. "Dunno how you cope, Lupin." Remus shrugged and smiled, pleased to be acknowledged. Sirius leaned heavily against the wall, looking at his feet. "They let me come back," he said quietly. "They almost didn't. One wrong move and they've promised to send me to Durmstrang." James and Peter gasped. Remus made a mental note to ask about it later. Sirius continued. "Didn't get my voice back until Christmas dinner. Had to play my part for that. Everyone was there, all of the Sacred 28, except the Weasleys, obviously. Lucius Malfoy really bloody hates me now, but he had to be really nice to me and Reg. Slimy creep. Got away with wearing my Gryffindor tie until Mum noticed and vanished it. Then I may have set off a few dung bombs during the 4th course." Peter, Remus, and James all winced collectively. "That's why the hair?" James asked again tentatively. Sirius looked up. "She said seeing as the usual punishments weren't having any effect, she'd try something different. I tried to get Pomfrey to grow it back for me, but the old bitch said she wasn't a beautician. Thought I'd done it myself by accident or something." "You could tell her," Remus started, feeling the need to defend the nurse. Sirius shook his head. "Not worth it." "Regulus?" James asked suddenly. "Is he back too? He sent us a note to let us know you got home, but we never heard anything else." Sirius nodded. "Yeah, he's back. Kept his hair, obviously. Dad sorted out a portkey into Hogsmeade. He's still, a bit of a tosser, but he didn't choose to be a black either. He just plays the game better than I do." He looked past them all, his eyes wide and desperate. Remus felt an awful ache in his chest. "I just wish," Sirius said, but nothing more. The bell rang and they had to get back to their lessons.
Jeez. So what's the Marauders gonna do?
I don't know.
Sirius can't get in trouble. Also, it's just hilarious. Even now, Lucius is getting the short end of the stick.
Yeah, he's
Like-
just getting screwed. Yep.
Thinks, oh yeah, I'm betrothed to this lady, and then just nope. Mom says, not anymore. You're gonna marry your cousin.
So, Lucius shouldn't really be angry with Sirius. That's not Sirius's fault. He didn't make that choice.
Well, no, but just angry in general. Who are you gonna
Take it out on?
take it out on? You see what Sirius's mother is doing. You gonna get mad at her? No. You don't want to get your head shaved. Imagine Lucius bald.
Oh my god, Lucius bald. That'd be great.
Oh man. Also, that is awesome. You had a Harry Potter themed birthday.
Yeah, that's fantastic. We went to a Harry Potter themed wedding.
Yeah, we did. That was pretty cool. All the
Back in the
tables
before
laid
time.
out as Slytherin, Gryffindor, Ravenclaw. I forgot about that. Yeah.
All the little potion bottles on the table.
Yeah, it was very cool. It was a much better setting than I could imagine the Christmas dinner at the Blacks was. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I wonder how weird it is that you like can't speak for that long.
Yeah, how rough is that?
Right?
Ugh.
I can only imagine what he said after.
Well,
They
I'm
gave him
sure
a
Ariel the mermaid knows how he feels.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. My God. Sirius is Ariel and Lupin is the prince.
This is way off topic, But in the latest Tyrion chapter that I read, totally found some evidence for Varys being a mermaid.
Oh, really?
Yes. There's a line in the chapter where it's just like, oh, mermaid evidence.
He loves the water and has a great singing voice.
That was not the evidence, but
All right. Oh, that chapter was kind of long. Let's hop into the next one so we can have enough
Right.
time.
it was also depressing. Jeez.
Well, there was the warning. You knew it was coming.
Yes, fair
It's very
enough.
depressing.
Chapter 32. Second year. Gryffindor versus Slytherin.
Dun dun dun.
Bobo Bands!
Regulus gonna get slapped by older brother Sirius.
Dune!
Dude.
Sorry, I had to throw it in there. No, because Regulus isn't on the team yet. He's a first year.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Only Harry gets.
Harry's
Yep.
that special.
Yep. Only Harry Potter is that special.
Maybe Regulus could be. Maybe that's why Sirius resented him.
Only Harry Potter.
Only Harry Potter could be. Ah.
Everyone in the school knew about Sirius's dramatic new look by the end of the first day. James and Peter took to walking around either side of him through the corridors like bodyguards, shooting glares at anyone who dared snigger or whisper as they passed. It doesn't look that bad, James assured him, watching Sirius stare at himself in the mirror. They were hiding in the empty second-floor girls' loo during lunch to avoid any more staring. The second-floor girls' bathroom?
We're gonna meet the Merts.
The Merts.
The Merts.
The Merts. Ah, the Merts. Oh my god.
Moaning Merts. That sounds like an awesome, alternative band name.
The moaning.
Merts.
Hang on. Ooh, I need to calm down. Okay. James was lying, Remus thought to himself, and Sirius probably knew it. It looked really bad. He seemed so much smaller. Without the dark hair framing Sirius's face, his eyes appeared larger than ever, making him look young and anxious. His high cheekbones and sharp eyebrows stood out more than ever, giving him a mean, gaunt sort of look. It was no wonder everyone stared. In fact, barely anyone glanced at Remus's new scarred face because of the distraction. Still, Remus thought glumly, hair grew back. Sirius rubbed his head, still watching his reflection. Peter laughed nervously. You look like Lupin. James nodded, eyes darting between the two of them. Yeah, you do a bit. Sirius looked at Remus, and for the first time since Christmas Eve, Remus saw him smile. That serious black smile. Nothing could ever ruin that.
That smile.
That damn smile. Oh yeah, I think I see it, Sirius said, still rubbing his head. He reached out and pulled Remus into the mirror's frame so that they stood side by side, staring at each other. We could be brothers. Remus laughed too, despite himself. Sirius's real brother was waiting outside Gryffindor common room later that evening. He was sitting on the floor with his knees drawn up, staring into space. His hair was still long enough to touch his shoulders. His friend Barty Crouch was leaning against the opposite wall, looking bored. He'd made a paper aeroplane and was directing it lazily up and down the hallway with his wand. Crouch and Regulus were as inseparable as James and Sirius. Barty was fair-haired and weedy, with a mean streak longer than Snape's. Remus already recognized him by his cruel, barking laugh alone. Regulus stood up smoothly as the Marauders approached. Remus felt inside his pocket for his wand, just in case. There you are, the younger boy said, a tremor of nervousness in his otherwise arrogant tone. His eyes kept flicking towards James. Barty's paper airplane began circling them all. What do you want? Sirius asked. Just seeing how you are. No different from last night, Sirius shrugged. I didn't see you at dinner. Wasn't at dinner, Sirius replied unhelpfully. They'd sent Peter down to the kitchens to pinch some sandwiches and sat in front of one of Remus's hidden alcoves to eat. Remus was quite enjoying this game, avoiding the rest of the students, even the Gryffindors. Usually James and Sirius would do anything in their power to be noticed. Remus much preferred flying under the radar. "Can I talk to you?" Remus addressed his older brother. Sirius spread his arms as if... "Oh, sorry. Can I talk to you?" Regulus addressed his older brother. That makes more sense, doesn't it? Sirius spread his arms as if giving Regulus the floor. Regulus rolled his eyes, irritated. He didn't quite have the same mouth as Sirius, Remus noted. He had a weaker jaw, smaller lips. "I mean alone," he said, shooting looks at James, Peter, and Remus. "No," Sirius said simply. Regulus sighed. He clearly knew Sirius too well to try and argue. Barty Crouch's paper airplane began spinning faster over their heads. Peter was watching its progress anxiously. "Fine," Regulus said, folding his arms. "I just wanted to let you know that Mother and Father asked me and Narcissa to watch you and report back to them." Sirius made a noise of disgust. Regulus continued, not dropping his gaze. "And we're not going to. We're both staying out of it, okay?" "How noble of you," Sirius replied. James grinned. Regulus rolled his eyes again. "I'm telling you, I'm not your enemy, you idiot. Nor is Narcissa. You can do whatever you like. That's between you and our parents." "Good. Good." The two brothers continued to stare each other down. If it had been James, he'd have broken into a smile, slapped Sirius on the shoulder, and all would be forgotten. But Regulus was just as pig-headed as Sirius, and couldn't tell when to end a fight. Peter let out a yelp like a whipped puppy, crouching down suddenly. Barty Crouch had obviously gotten bored of the family drama and decided to dive-bomb the smallest of the Marauders with his sharp paper plane. Crouch was giggling meanly as the plane backed up and prepared for its second attack. When James pulled out his own wand. "Incendio," he said, lazily, flicking his wrist in Crouch's direction. The plane, wings now alight, went soaring toward the first-year boy with frightening speed. Crouch let out a cry of anguish, covering his face with his arms as the flaming projectile flew straight for him, only to fizzle out mid-air, crumpling in a pile of ashen cinders inches from Crouch's face. "Let's go," Regulus muttered to his friend, who'd gone pale and was staring at James warily. They both set off back toward the dungeons. Narcissa said to tell you good luck for Saturday, Potter." Regulus threw over his shoulder as they rounded a corner. James ignored him, following Sirius through the portrait hole. Once they were all in the common room, Remus asked, "What's Saturday?" "Quidditch match. Gryffindor versus Slytherin," James replied promptly. "Ah." Remus was no good at keeping up with the Quidditch schedule. He only went to the Gryffindor matches, and the last one had fallen on the day after a full moon, so he'd missed it anyway. He tended to tune out when the others started talking about tactics and league tables, burying his nose deeper in his book. "I hope you trash 'em, mate," Sirius growled, throwing himself into the nearest armchair. "Plan to," James said jovially, sitting on the arm of the chair. "So long as she doesn't get the snitch too early. And Marlene's the best beater we've had in years, so—" James stopped short, realizing what he'd said. He looked at Sirius. Sirius groaned and stood up. "I'm going to bed," he said.
Oh, poor Sirius.
He's having a really hard time.
Yeah, but he kind of brought on himself. Regulus and Narcissa are trying to help him out here.
They really are. They're actually trying to be cool.
I like how you do the most posh accent you could muster for Regulus, too.
I'm trying.
And hi, Joey. Welcome.
Saturday, 13th of January, 1973. It had snowed overnight. If Hogwarts had been any normal school, Remus thought to himself grumpily, they would have called off the stupid match. But no. Instead, Gryffindor Common Room was buzzing with excitement with the talk of how they were perfect flying conditions. Peter and Remus spent half the morning trying to cast long-lasting warming spells on James's kit. Sirius had done one of his early morning vanishing acts and was nowhere to be seen. Adil Deshmak, the Gryffindor team captain, made the team eat together at breakfast rather than with their friends. They all sat there looking pale and tired, eating uniform bowls of porridge and fruit, on Deshmak's orders. James was the only one in a good mood, even though they hadn't gotten the warming spell to work. Sirius, Lily yawned as she took a seat next to Remus, biting into a slice of heavily buttered toast. Dunno. Ugh. Remus yawned back, hugging his hot cup of tea as if his life depended on it. Sulking somewhere, probably, Peter said bitterly. Remus gave him a sharp look. What? The blonde boy frowned indignantly. He calls me whiny all the time. He'll be here, Remus said, ignoring Peter. He wants to see us destroy the Slytherins. Even Lily grinned at this, despite her usual pleas for inter-house unity. Today she was decked out in red and gold from head to toe, just like everyone else. After breakfast they walked out to the Quidditch pitch together. The Gryffindor quarter of the pitch was bedecked with red and gold flags and streamers, plus 4 large banners displaying the golden Gryffindor lion. Lannisters. Thankfully, someone had also cleared the snow from the benches.
Well, biased here.
Lily and Peter wanted to get the best seats at the very top of the spectator stands, and Remus was already shivering despite wearing 2 jumpers under his cloak. Cold, Remus? Lily glanced at him as he tried to blow hot air into his gloved hands. Just a bit, he replied sarcastically, too bad-tempered to be polite. Here. Lily pulled out her wand and grabbed his wrists, pointing into his palms. Calidum vestimenta. At once a delightful warmth spread through his hands to the very tips of his frozen fingers. How did you do that? He asked. We've been trying all morning. I think it's in the pronunciation, Lily shrugged. She quickly applied the same spell to Remus's cloak, then to Peter's. By the time this was done, the 2 Quidditch teams were gathering on the pitch, which had cleared enough for them to make a path through their changing rooms at least. They stood in 2 neat rows, one scarlet, one emerald. Remus could clearly make out a few of the players. James's unmistakable mop of jet-black hair, Marlene's fluffy sandy blonde ponytail. He could also see Narcissa Black on the opposing team, tall and willowy, her platinum hair woven into 2 neat braids which reached halfway down her back.
I didn't realize Narcissa was a Quidditch player.
Why not?
Is that canon? Is that confirmed? Pottermore?
I don't know.
Oh. I was just curious.
Still no Sirius. Of course, Peter was blathering to Lily. We don't actually need to win this one. We just need to keep our points up. So long as we finish with at least 6 goals, then we stay at the top of the league. Black's a brilliant seeker, but Slytherin overall are pretty poor, especially when you look at James. Having him's like having 3 chasers in one. Lily was nodding politely. People so seldom listened to Peter when it came to sport. Remus certainly didn't. He attempted to read Sirius's dog-eared copy of Quidditch Through the Ages, but nothing in it could help him make sense of the ridiculous point system. Madam Hooch blew her whistle below them, and the players mounted their brooms, squatting, ready for kick-off. Still no Sirius. Remus craned his neck, looking round the stands, but even with his excellent eyesight he couldn't spot his friend anywhere. Surely Peter wasn't right. He couldn't be off sulking somewhere. They thought he was over his rejection from the Quidditch team. He'd been at every match that year to support James, just because this particular match was against Slytherin. Madam Hooch blew her whistle again and released the snitch. The players shot into the air like red and green cannonballs. Still no Sirius. Peter and Lily were on their feet, cheering with everyone else, so Remus got up too and attempted to look involved in the game. James had possession of the quaffle within seconds of being in the air, and had it through the hoop in under a minute. The red crowds exploded with triumph, but were quickly overshadowed by a deafening noise like a thunderclap.
That's your thunderclap?
It says roar!
Yeah, like, cheering roar, not actual roar.
It's a roar!
Oh, okay.
What was that? Lily stared about, wide-eyed, along with everyone else. Even the players on the pitch looked startled. Remus looked up and saw that the lions in Gryffindor banners above them appeared to have come alive and were now prowling back and forth across the red material, growling and tossing their heads restlessly. Is that normal?" he asked, pointing. Lily and Peter shook their heads, speechless, as the enormous lions roared above them. Remus smiled suddenly. He recognized that magic, playful and a bit scary. "Look!" he pointed again. At the bottom of the spectators' stands, nearest the ground, a young Gryffindor in bright red robes was also stalking back and forth, waving his wand like a conductor's baton. It was undoubtedly Sirius. Who else had that overconfident strut? But he was no longer bald, and had instead donned an enormous golden wig, like a lion's mane. Remus thought he could even see a gold tail dragging from behind his robes. Once everyone had seen him, the crowds laughed, even Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff. But Slytherin did not. The green-coloured portion of the crowd merely glared at the garish show of House Pride. James was clearly not distracted by the new mascots, but instead encouraged by them, which must have been Sirius's intention. He scored at least 3 more goals, resulting in 3 more ear-splitting roars, while the Slytherins struggled to recover from the surprise. "We are Gryffindor!" Sirius was chanting, his voice magically amplified. "Mighty, mighty Gryffindor!" the crowd screamed back. Once he got used to all the noise, Remus began to enjoy a Quidditch game for the first time. James was like a red blur on the pitch, darting this way and that, though the other chasers were very good too, managing to keep up with his complicated formations and passes. Marlene, bat in hand, was doing a stunning job of not only protecting the chasers and seeker, but aiming bludgers at the other team. Narcissa in particular. Narcissa Black, however, was in her own league. She had an elegant, smooth flying style that Remus recognized from Sirius's attempt to teach him formal flying. She was quick and always moving, like water. The Gryffindor seeker was following her movements, hoping she would lead him to the snitch, but she kept dodging and making false turns to confuse him, twice sending him directly into the path of a bludger. She wasn't showy like James. She was efficient and ruthless. Gryffindor had a 100-point lead when Narcissa finally saw the snitch. Remus noted the moment she caught sight of it. Her posture changed. She didn't look away even once. She hovered for a few moments, glancing behind her to see where the Gryffindor seeker was. He was hanging back, unsure what she was planning. At that very moment, Maisie Jackson, one of the Gryffindor chasers, scored another goal, bringing Gryffindor's score up to 130 against Slytherin's 20. The Gryffindors went wild, and Sirius waved his wand even more enthusiastically. The lions not only roared this time, but leapt clear through the banners, out into the winter air, where they became strange golden shadows striding across the pitch. The Gryffindor seeker dived to dodge them, clearly terrified, though they vanished just above his head. "No, you idiot!" Sirius's voice echoed over the cheering. It was too late. Narcissa had taken advantage of her opponent's distraction and scooped up the snitch. She flew above the crowds, holding it aloft triumphantly. The Slytherin crowd finally burst into applause, sending up green and silver sparks, cheering, "Black! Black! Black!" Of course, this was highly confusing, as the Gryffindors were also chanting, "Black! Black! Black!" as Sirius took bows before the crowd. James swooped down to land beside him and ruffled his friend's ridiculous mane, as the crowd now chanted, "Potter! Potter! Potter!" "Oh, well," Peter grinned up at Remus. We lost, but we're still tied with Ravenclaw in the league table, still going through to the final." Remus couldn't care less. Afterward, they poured into the pitch to congratulate their team. Remus and Peter both punched Sirius playfully. "You never told us! We could have helped." Sirius just smirked and tossed his glorious golden hair. "Sirius!" A thin, cold voice broke through the crowd. They all turned. Narcissa was striding toward them, still in her billowing emerald robes, a bright silver medal hanging round her neck that made Remus shrink back behind Peter. Sirius stood to face her. She gave him an unexpected smirk. Take off that obscene wig, she said sharply. He complied, rubbing his bare head self-consciously. Narcissa pulled out her wand with one sweeping motion and tapped his head. Placere! The Marauders and the crowd of Gryffindors round them all gasped. Sirius's hair began to grow, like black water tumbling from his head until it was back to its usual length. What the? Sirius grabbed his head. Narcissa grinned, showing rows of pearly white teeth. That's for your help in ensuring a Slytherin victory. With that she turned, silver plates whipping round, and flounced off toward her own team. James tugged on Sirius's newly restored tresses. I'm never going to understand your bonkers family, mate.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's what Sirius was trying to do. He was trying to help Slytherin win. Of course.
Totally it.
Yeah, exactly.
But maybe that's what Narcissa's going to go and tell, the family.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because...
this is such a good time for this.
Here's... Right. No one's here. There you go. Yeah, because it seems like Narcissa is definitely on his side. Why all the hate for her? I don't know. So far, Narcissa has been painted as a very good character. She helps Sirius out quite a bit. Well, I mean, I guess by helping Sirius out, it helps her out. So it could be construed as, just a selfish act. Either way. But then, she helps Harry out in the end, so...
She
maybe
does
she's
help
not
Harry
all
out in the
bad.
end. I don't think she is. I think this actually makes her a more complex character.
Yeah.
We don't know how much her life changes when she marries Lucius,
That's true.
We do know that she loves him very much, and they both love their son very much, but,
And we know Lucius gets the short end of the stick quite often.
yes. Although, he does triumph quite a few times, and he does have quite a lot of money, and there are a lot of things about Lucius that are,
He has long flowing hair and money.
Yes.
That's about it.
I mean,
I guess it starts out looking good until the Dark Lord comes in and takes everything from you. Even your wand.
and makes subtle dick jokes
That's
about
what
your wand.
literally takes your wand from you.
And then breaks it.
Well, that was Harry. Kind of.
Voldemort holds a little bit of accountability on that one.
I guess.
Voldemort should have known better. He was ignorant of the magic.
Yeah, he was. He was.
Sorry.
Lost my train of thought there. But yeah, either way, Lucius. Not a good time for him.
So,
Great time for the Marauders, though.
great time for the Marauders, and Sirius wasn't sulking.
Nope.
He was practicing for James's big game, because he's
Exactly.
his best friend.
And it's just... I don't know if Harry, Ron... I guess just Harry and Ron are really that dumb, or the Marauders are just that intelligent. But it seems like they're doing a lot of stuff in the second year that Ron and Harry just had no idea.
I think it's that they're that smart.
Probably.
I mean,
Like making the mascots roar and stuff, and
I think
sonorous already. I mean, maybe Harry just never had a need to use that.
well, to be in Harry's defense, he spends half his year every time trying not to die.
Yeah, that's true.
If he wasn't trying not to die,
he wasn't,
maybe
yeah.
he would learn more spells.
Yeah. Well, actually, wouldn't the threat?
Katie literally just said that. They didn't have the time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, look at that. Great minds think alike.
That's right.
But wouldn't you think if?
Plus, I bet Hermione could do that stuff.
That's why I left Hermione out of this. They just opened the door where it's like, well, Hermione did this and that. Like, yeah, she did, but it's the Marauders as a whole. Like, everyone is intelligent. They don't have that one person who's saving their butt all the time in the form of Hermione.
Not yet. But again,
No, not yet.
they don't. Their story doesn't require that either.
That's true.
So it's a little different. Plus, I just do think that.
But before I forget, I was gonna say, don't you think that you would be trying a little bit harder if you knew that someone was trying to kill you, though? Like, I'd be trying to learn as much magic as I possibly can.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're trying to learn as much magic as you can, but you also, like, take Chamber of Secrets. Like, oh my god, I'm a parcel mouth. Oh my god, there's a thing in the wall trying to petrify and kill everyone. What is the thing? I don't know what the thing is, so I don't know how to defend myself against the thing, because I don't know what the thing is.
That's true. Hey, Shannon. Long time no see. How
I
you
know,
been?
welcome back. Is the audio dropping out? Angela's saying, is the audio dropping out? Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know.
Let's
Is it
take a
dropping
look.
for you guys?
Is anyone else having a hard time hearing us? Let us know.
Because it looks okay on our end, so just let us know. I feel like it could go both ways, where it's like, well, yeah, but at the same time,
I also think James and Sirius come from very different families, right?
Yeah.
So the Potters are both a witch and a wizard.
yeah,
Sirius comes from a pureblood family. They've literally had magic in their lives for their entire lives. So has Ron. But
That's
the
true.
difference is Ron has so many siblings. James was an only child, and Sirius was one of two. Whereas
Yeah.
Ron literally had so many siblings. So I think, maybe Sirius and James just got more attention
Yeah, maybe.
in that respect.
I mean, I guess, yeah, Harry, you could use it where he just had no...
He had no experience
Yeah.
whatsoever. Although, neither did Hermione, and look at how kick-ass she is.
That's true, but her parents, once they found out, were, like, open to the idea and
Yeah, they were
excited
super
about her
supportive.
learning magic.
Yeah.
Well, whereas the Dursleys, well, we know about the Dursleys.
We knew about the Dursleys.
They tried to deny it.
Squash that magic right out of him.
There's no mail on Sundays.
Do you know what I love about Sundays? No post on Sundays.
Oh, man.
I love doing the Uncle Vernon voice.
I could tell.
It's fun.
Boy!
You should do like a prank phone call to Home Depot asking for drills with the Vernon voice.
How are you fixed for drills? My company, Grunnings, is a state-of-the-art manufacturing facility here in Little Whinging.
And that's true. Yeah, Hermione isn't normal. She's definitely an overachiever.
Guess that means I'm not normal.
Nah, you're an overachiever too.
The character I identify with the most on a personal level is Hermione.
Yeah.
So, I get it. I think that's the character J.K. Rowling identifies the most with too.
Hermione?
Like she said she was Hermione when she was a kid.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I was definitely not Harry. I was definitely not Draco Malfoy. I was definitely Hermione.
You know, so like recent books we've read, Martin says he identifies most with Tyrion. Rowling identifies with Hermione. Wonder who Stephen King identifies with the most.
Literally every main character in his book is a writer.
Well, yeah.
He just inserts himself into every book.
Yeah. Or
The main character was a writer who lived in Maine, in a secluded place in the middle of nowhere. It's literally him in every book.
Stephen, this is you. Stephen King is like Kevin Hart. He always plays Kevin Hart.
That's
Stephen
right.
King always plays Stephen King.
That's right. It's like even in the one short story that we had to read for our second half of our live stream. The guy wasn't a writer, but he is an English teacher.
That's true. And yeah, she only had a year where she knew that she was a wizard. Well, a witch.
Yeah, because Hermione's birthday is in September. So she got her letter and then had to wait.
Oh, man.
That would have sucked.
Yeah, that would.
I would have been like, Mom, we need to go to Diagon Alley now so I can spend the year reading before we go. I need to know all the things. I bet she did. I bet they went to Diagon Alley and did the stuff.
Right? I wonder if they had Airbnb.
How did they get to Diagon Alley?
I'm sure someone showed them.
Who showed them? Did Hagrid come and visit her and show them?
Maybe Dumbledore?
Maybe Dumbledore?
Or maybe...
Dumbledore came to Tom Riddle's orphanage. Maybe Dumbledore showed up.
Or maybe Dumbledore just says, go to the tavern there and hand the bartender this letter, and he'll let you in.
And Tom will do it for you?
Yeah. Something like that.
Tom, the toothless bartender, the toothless housekeeper.
Yeah, that would probably be kind of awkward, walking in there for the first time with your kid, just like, is this where you're going to school? I don't like wizards anymore. No.
There were some sketchy people in the bar the first time Harry went there.
That's what I mean.
There was a hag in there. Like, ooh. Toothless walnut.
So, yeah, that's what I mean. It'd be weird. But I'm sure they have some sort of precaution.
I'm sure they do. Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Either
just like
that or there's,
They notify, just like with Muggle parents, they notify the parents about the school and...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Hermione, I'd have been like, I would have gone there and started reading every single book. I don't care what Emma Watson identifies herself as. I'm sorry, that was really aggressive.
Yeah.
She's not Hermione. I'm sorry.
Well, technically she is.
Not in my headcanon, she is not. I refuse to see it. When I watch the movie, I pretend she's not there.
All right, then I have a question for you. You
Katie's like, wow.
Yeah. That's what I mean. So, here, I have a question for you. Since you have such a hate for Emma Watson to be Hermione.
Just Hermione. She's fine in wherever else she is. I don't care about anything else she does. Just Hermione.
But whether or not she played bad Hermione was her fault or directing.
I don't think it was 100% her fault.
But either way, if you could cast anyone as Hermione, who would you cast then? If not Emma Watson.
I don't know.
Who would you picture as Hermione?
I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
Can't think of anyone just off the top of
your head. I don't know children. I don't know child actors because they'd have to be children.
Well, child actors from it doesn't matter if they're children now. It's like what you have Disney Channel movies where 30-year-olds are playing high schoolers, all right?
I know, but they'd have to be 11, 12. Well, how old was Tom? Tom Felton was 14.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah, Beauty and the Beast was terrible. But Emma Watson wasn't the only thing that made Beauty and the Beast terrible. There were a lot of other factors that made that movie garbage. She was just one bit of garbage in the trash can that was that movie.
I didn't hate it, but the thing that threw me off was the Beast. He just looked like a really hairy dude. he didn't look beastly enough for me.
Just looked like a hairy dude. I hated Be Our Guest. The whole...
I know you did. I heard about that so much.
I know. I'm sorry. It was terrible. The only redeeming part of that movie were Gaston and LeFou. They were great.
Gaston and LeFou were fucking amazing.
They were great. They were the only good parts of that movie. They were fantastic. LeFou. Yeah, he plays Olaf.
Yeah, I know.
They were great.
Yes, I used to love The Secret Garden.
I always thought Mary could have played Hermione, and the boy in it who's sick could have played Draco.
I could see it.
That's actually not... Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty solid. I don't.
I
You
forgot
gotta let
about
me
that
gel
movie.
on
I
that.
used to love that movie.
Maybe in the next live stream, I'll say who I would cast as Hermione.
Okay,
Because I don't.
next time.
I don't know if I.
Find out exactly who would have made a decent Hermione in your mind. And you can't say yourself.
No, I'm gonna play Slughorn in the remake. I don't want to play Hermione.
You're gonna do the gender bender Slughorn?
No, I'm gonna be a dude.
Oh, okay.
Slughorn's a chonk. You wouldn't know I was a lady.
I'm a dude who's playing a dude dressed as another dude.
Oh, you were a movie ranter too. People hate when I see a movie that ruined a book for me. We are all coming to the right place. We're all movie ranters. It's a good place to be. I don't want to play Hermione. I want to play Slughorn. Whenever they do the remake, that's the role I'm trying out for.
Slughorn? All right.
Yeah.
I think you make a good Slughorn.
I think that's the perfect part for me. Who else would I play? Come on.
Well, Hermione, honestly, wouldn't be a bad part.
I'd probably be a great Umbridge too.
Oh, Umbridge would be good. Yeah.
I would.
McGonagall.
I would love to play Umbridge.
McGonagall.
McGonagall. I would love to play Umbridge. That would be fun.
Oh yeah.
But I'd rather play Slughorn over Umbridge. I'm just saying.
Umbridge would be so fun though.
That's true. See, Katie's like, I could totally see the walrus mustache. See? She knows. I would be the best Slughorn.
Oh, and hello, Noelle.
Actually, if we're going to take like a quick break, let me just run to the loop.
All right. I'll get everything set up.
Run, I'm here.
Oh, how's it going, Noelle? Oh, 1 sec. Okay, now I should be able to hear you. Yes. That's good.
Moving along like the Boogeyman over here.
Has it?
What do I got it? How do I get to hear? I don't get to hear anything, I guess.
No, you get.
Okay. Well, I didn't know where it went. Oh, Luna would be fun. Luna would be fun to play. I'm not blonde enough to play Luna. Although I'm not old and man enough to play Slughorn, so I guess it doesn't matter, does it?
No. Yeah, so Noelle, you could kind of enter this discussion with us. Who do you think would make a great Hermione? Because apparently Emma Watson is not it.
She's definitely not it.
So, like, what actor would I pick?
Yeah.
Okay. Does she have to be British?
No. We'll just say any.
Let's
any
leave it
choice.
open. Even though that was a stipulation for the films. But let's just say, hypothetically, that we're doing a Harry Potter remake. I am playing Horace Slughorn. No exceptions. But we need to cast a Hermione. Preferably someone who can act in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, I'm clearly Ron, so I will have fun picking this. Let's see.
actually, I just had a thought. I just had one.
Go for it.
What about like young Natalie Portman? Like
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Leon the
Like-
Professional era. Like when she was
Professional,
little.
yeah. Oh, you know who would be good?
There we go.
The girl from Stranger Things. The girl from
Oh,
Godzilla.
Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
Oh,
she would be
yeah.
good.
Yeah, I could see
I
that.
could actually, yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
And she's British.
Hey.
So we even hit the criteria.
And Evan can play Hagrid.
Yes, I'll be Hagrid.
Nice. I like this concept.
Who
Who would be
Here.
Harry? I
Will be
mean, Daniel
Harry.
Radcliffe was
Daniel-
great.
Daniel Radcliffe
Yeah.
has to be Harry. He's just his age
Yeah,
in the
like-
remake, playing himself when he was 11.
They're gonna have to do the deep fake and make him a little kid again, like they did with Luke Skywalker.
Oh God, right?
Oh yeah, the digital de-aging or whatever it is.
Yeah, right.
I feel like
yeah.
that technology can go a little out of hand. You can just just de-age everyone. You don't need any new actors.
Yeah, I mean, really, I couldn't see many.
Jason Isaacs still has to play Lucius Malfoy. He has to come back. No exceptions.
Doesn't matter. He just has to.
He has to.
I feel like most of the cast, honestly, was pretty spot on. I mean, I wouldn't recast any of the teachers. They were all perfect.
Except for the ones that
Right.
are dead.
That's the problem. Dumbledore was cast perfectly at first,
And then he
and
died.
then he died.
I
And then-
know. Oh God, what would have been if Richard Harris had? Oh God.
Just kept chugging for another 10 years.
Yeah.
could have been so much better.
Yeah, for real.
'Cause he brought kind of a comedic undertone, I felt, to the first two movies, and then it just got like really serious. I don't know. I'm not really hating on whoever it was that replaced him, but Richard Harris just had a cool.
Well, Michael Gambon
Right.
didn't read the books and refused to read the books. Because he didn't want the books to influence his depiction of the character. How are you going to know the character if you didn't read the book?
You're playing the character.
That's an issue. I have an issue with that. Yeah.
Just saying.
Oh
dear.
they actually did a deep fake of Emma Watson. And do you know who
Kiernan
Kiernan
Shipka
Shipka
is? I have
Is
no
that
clue
girl
who that
from
is.
the new Sabrina? I haven't seen that, but is that who you're talking about?
Who?
Who?
Is that the girl from the new Sabrina, the Teenage Witch show? I don't really know who she is, but I think she's in that. I'm probably very wrong.
Oh, maybe. I didn't realize there was a Mad Men. Oh, I know who you mean. Okay. I could see it.
As who?
Emma Watson.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to think now. Oh, God. Yeah, I'm sticking with Millie Bobby Brown. I mean, she's great, right?
I feel like she would fit. She's a good actress, and she ticks off the British box too.
Yeah, and she can
So-
actually act, which kind of like would kind of up things, you know.
Yeah, she can act.
Yeah, 100%. Oh man,
But I wouldn't really. I'm trying to think of who I would who I was upset with in the movies. Really, I don't know.
My main issue really was Hermione. And then just not so much the rest of the cast as the direction they took with the characters and the story.
I didn't like
like-
the new Dumbledore.
I didn't hate Rupert Grint, but I hated what they did to Ron. Okay, yeah. Michael
No.
Gambon as Dumbledore. That was bad. That
Yeah.
was bad.
But it might be because he was a bad choice, or if the original Dumbledore, I can't remember their names, was just so perfect.
Yeah,
What was that?
The
Sorry.
original Dumbledore was
He was
just so
perfect. He was
perfect.
brilliant. If he was still alive for movie 4, he would have said, "Harry, did you put your name in the goblet of fire?"
But then we wouldn't have the meme.
No, we wouldn't have the meme.
But you know what we do
Yeah.
have? Boogeymen.
Yes, we have Stephen King.
And
Oh,
Stephen
yes.
King.
Let us discuss some Stephen King.
So,
Let's
Are we going? Is it rolling?
yep.
roll.
So, I know how you felt about this, but real quick, I want to know, Noelle, how'd you feel? about the Boogeyman.
This is the first story, by the way, everybody. This is the first story we read in our latest Stephen King escapade into Night Shift.
Yeah, this was a creepy tale. This was really turned the screws on the pressure. It kind of slowly cranked up the pressure, which I liked. And very creepy, jaw-dropping ending. And just classic King, where it's like this maybe isn't happening, but then it's like this is happening.
Right? I mean,
Did you, at any point in the story, think that he was the boogeyman? And he had
yes.
some kind of like psychotic break where he was blaming it on another entity, but
Yeah,
he actually murdered his children?
I was about to say, yeah, I thought the Boogeyman was like a bipolar thing where it's like an alter ego of his.
Right, or he's got split
know,
personality or
yeah.
some kind of
Like a
psychotic
repressed
break or
identity.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. And he'd like become the Boogeyman and then go kill his kid.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus. Yeah,
I
this
like
one
that.
just didn't hold back. It was just so brutal, and this was probably like the scariest story so far.
Yeah, I would agree. It's definitely, in terms of chilling factor and just the suspense that it built. I really liked that the suspense.
Right?
And
Because
I like this theory. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say I agree with the suspense because the whole time you don't know, is it actually something else or is it him? You're
You
like
know what
going
I
back and
think?
forth in your mind.
You know what I kind of think? So I was thinking about this one earlier today because I read this one and I just kept churning it over and over in my brain, and I thought, so at the end you find out the boogeyman is real, right?
Yeah.
And he's coming to get him.
And the Boogeyman is the therapist
And-
all along.
Yeah. And
Like, and what was the final line?
He was holding the mask. He was like holding the mask of the
Yeah.
therapist, right? And yeah.
so
It just gave me chills. That
I know.
ending.
Oh,
I thought that while the boogeyman is a real dark entity
Mhm.
that's killing the children, number one, it kind of had some it vibes where it's only going after children, right?
Mhm.
But at the same time, the guy is also a boogeyman. He's prejudiced, he's hateful, he's oppressive to his wife, he's
Yeah.
ridiculously hard on his children. All the things that he says about his kids, like he's really
He's
not
hard,
a pleasant
he just doesn't
person.
want him to be a sissy.
Well, that's what I mean. He's a hard guy, and
He really is.
he kind of is a boogeyman to his family too.
Yeah.
And what if it's his own negativity and hatred that continues to bring the boogeyman to him?
Maybe.
yeah.
Maybe that's
Yeah,
why
that's
the
maybe
boogeyman like follows them.
Stephen King did a really good job of making me root for the Boogeyman in this too, though. Because like when he hears the kids scream and then he just leaves them.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Won't even let him in the bed? Really?
Yeah.
It's some stupid stuff about, oh, he's got to, he'll never grow up right if we just coddle him all the time. And it's like, what, dude? Like, your kid is screaming in the room and you're worried about some stupid stuff. Like, what are you talking about?
Yep.
Yeah. He's just making up excuses because he's scared. That's
I think it's also King kind of shining light on some societal tropes and stereotypes about toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
And how toxic it is, how bad it really is,
I think another story this week shed some light on that too. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think, he's definitely talking about that toxic masculinity and being like distant from your children and how it hurts them.
Yep.
That sort of
Yeah,
thing.
and like trying to raise them to conform them to some weird ideal that doesn't exist. It's all made up in your mind.
Yeah.
And like that never leads to anything good.
Exactly.
And also, oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was done.
You get a sense of resentment from him towards his wife. Well, I was going to college and then she got pregnant, and it's almost like it's her fault and she did it on purpose and she kept getting pregnant. Like, this guy has a lot of anger and resentment built up.
And then she wanted to get pregnant again, and
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it takes two to tango, man. Like, come on now. It's not. No one's trapping anyone in anything.
And the character even says at one point in the story, which is how King really keeps you on the hook of, is the boogeyman real? At one point in the story, Billings says, like, your kids make you so angry sometimes you want to just kill them,
yeah.
And he kind of plays with that frustrated parent dynamic the whole time, and
The whole time
just great,
showing how frustrated he is with the whole situation,
and how angry he is at his wife, and how angry he is at his life and his kids, and it's almost like the boogeyman is like, well, hey, I'll make it all go away for you if you hate it so much. I think he's attracting the boogeyman.
Yeah.
I like that theory. Yeah, I like the idea of being so negative, having so much negative energy that it actually attracts some supernatural force to kind of not haunt you, but just make its presence felt,
Or give you some karma, or whatever it would be that it would be doing.
Yeah,
I don't know. This
it's
story
just all that repressed aggression and hatred, just builds up inside of you and almost creates this monster in you. I think was kind of the idea it was showing.
Yeah, really evocative story, like the way it really tied those things together, I felt. And the term boogeyman, it's kind of this colloquial term that is just a catch-all for any bad thing or any
monster
nemesis
or whatever.
And it's like, oh, the boogeyman's not real, like it's just made up. Just like these masculine ideals from earlier generations are just made up.
Just whack constructs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that theory.
Should we maybe move on to the next story?
Yeah, because I feel like I could talk about this story.
I feel like we could talk about the boogeyman.
I agree with Joshua in the chat with this one. He said that this story and the last one were his favorites, and I agree. It was tough, but I think this might have been my favorite story.
Well, why don't we get through all the stories first, and then we'll
we will. It was just there. I had to say it.
Okay.
All right.
So the next story was Gray Matter.
Great. This one was weird. We hit the weird side of things with this
one was, and Noelle, I think you'll know what I mean when I say that. This one was ridiculously Stephen King. Like, ridiculously Stephen King. There was a small town in Maine with this guy who was a alcoholic, all the guys in the general store talking gossip,
hanging out. Yeah.
And something weird happens in the tiny little town in Maine. It just is literally the most Stephen King story ever.
The one thing it's missing in that regard is that no character was a writer. But other than that, I agree.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's true.
Yeah.
There was no writer.
But, so you worked at a liquor store, so you may agree with this, because I know when I used to work at a gas station when I was a kid, I knew plenty of people like the ooze guy. Richie, thank you.
The ooze guy.
The ooze guy. Where they would come in every night, buy a case of beer, and it would always be, what's the cheapest you got? Doesn't matter how disgusting or bad it is. Yep. They always bought it. So for me, it kind of hit home a little bit, like, oh, I know people like this.
The Gray Matter
people like this
is almost like a literal manifestation of his alcoholism.
Yeah, and how it
poisoning
just
his body.
consumes him, and it slowly consumes everything around and affects everything else.
Yep.
Yep.
I also
And
felt
oh,
like
go
there was
ahead.
a little Edgar Allan Poe nod to the cat in the wall.
Yeah, that was
That was
That was
like
weird.
the cat in the. First of all, it was a kitty, and it was congealed, and it was terrible. Don't eat the kitties. Don't eat kitties. I don't like it. But it just reminded me of the black cat. Like there was a cat in the wall. Like that was totally a Poe nod.
Oh
I
yeah.
think.
Yeah, one thing I'd say is kind of going back to the alcoholism theme. It's like they say that like like it only takes one bottle of beer, it takes one shot of whatever for things to go wrong, right? Like once you hit your tipping point, that's when bad things happen, right?
Yeah.
So that was like in this story, he just had that one bad can of beer, right? And it all went bad.
And all of a sudden, there's a fungus among us.
Fungus among us.
Yep. All of a sudden, it was slime time.
Ugh.
Also, I'm gonna throw
was
it.
Nick.
I feel like I do this every single time with almost every story, but this one was actually a literal direct It reference.
It was?
Yeah.
Which part? I missed that.
So they were talking about another character who lives in the town, and he works with the sewer system. And they said he went down into the sewers and came out of the sewers, and his hair was completely white. And he was talking about how there was a giant 20-foot spider down there, and it was like freaking out about the giant 20-foot spider that he saw. And like he was never the same again after that. And I was like, that guy went down into the sewer, he saw the It spider and looked into its deadlights. That's what happened to that guy. That is totally an It right there, plain and simple, in there.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, that's.
That had me excited. I was really like, oh my god.
You love any It reference.
I love an It reference.
Well, that's especially cool since this story predated the writing of it by like 15 years at least. So
Yeah, I wonder if this. I mean, so far, a lot of the stories in this collection kind of show the groundwork of his future works.
Oh, for sure.
So
yeah,
that could have been like kind of where he got it. He may have threw that idea in there when he was kind of running the idea of It through his mind, you know?
yeah, kind of like how Night Surf. We talked about that being a prototype for The Stand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So same thing with that. Yeah, I think it's cool to revisit these earlier stories and kind of find little threads,
Right?
I think
Yeah.
Joshua makes a good point. It's literally the extreme of alcohol abuse on yourself and the people around you.
Exactly. It really
That's
shows
totally
like
well said. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah.
alcohol abuse doesn't just affect you, it affects
Literally everyone around you.
your livelihood, your life, your kids, and your cat.
And your
So,
cat. Yes.
Don't drink.
Most
And kind of
importantly,
that-
your kitties.
Or drink responsibly, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's that line at the end of the story where I forgot the main character's name, but he's kind of thinking when we see the Richie dividing into two, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he's doing math in his head like 2 + 2 is 4, 4 + 4 is 6, 8 + 8 is the end of the world, like he
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
the end. And that kind of escalation that kind of plays into the alcohol abuse thing because it only takes one bad night of drinking to turn into 2, 2 into 4, 4 into 8.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep,
100%.
that's true too.
It's like, yeah, I'll just go out one night. And then it's, it's been a couple days. I'll go out again. Next thing you know, you're just one of those dudes at the bar every night.
Yep.
Or the people coming into the liquor store every night and just with those kind of sullen
Looks
eyes
on their faces.
and just like bottle of Barton's vodka, and it's like, I'll sell it to you. But
And
you're paying with more than money.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, Joshua is actually also making a good point about how the smell of the rotted flesh was put into comparison of fermenting fruit.
Yeah. The fermenting.
Yeah,
the
literally
key.
alcohol production.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Right? I love his descriptions. Like I feel like I should go through again and just read them because his descriptions, some of them, the way he describes things is like, how do you even compare this? Like, how do you get this?
Where'd
What
you
are you
pull that
thinking?
out
Yeah.
of? Yeah.
I think it's in the last story he made a comparison where the phrasing he used, I'm just like, you're right, but how do you know this?
Right, right.
Yeah, just crazy intuition or something. Just
Yeah.
they say that writers, like above all, they are amazing observers. They just make these amazing observations about life and the inner life
Connections.
as well as the outer life, and they're able to
Mhm.
make those crazy connections.
Or in this case with Stephen King, he's a great observer of like death and mortality and of big big issues going on too. So we've already
Well, we know the
factored in
alcoholism thing is a
alcoholism
big thing for him, right? Because he
and
struggled.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and factoring in the toxic male masculinity, which taking into consideration that this was written before 1980 is very progressive of him to kind of look at that like that
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
it was still very much
He probably grew
strong
up
there.
with that and potentially maybe rebelled against it because I'm sure being a kid, I don't know anything about his personal life,
Well,
but
so he never knew his father. King's father left the family um, when King was a very young kid. So
gotcha. Okay.
he didn't have that male presence in his life, and he always talked about his mother being the most important figure in his life.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I'm sure he absorbed. I'm sure he just observed.
Well, I'm sure his
growing up.
friends, parents,
Yeah.
and how those interactions.
Good night, Katie.
Yeah, have a good night,
Thanks
Katie.
for joining us. Maybe that's why he was so progressive and he could observe it because he didn't have that toxic
Influence.
male figure in his life. Not saying that his father would have been like that, but there's a possibility. But
Yeah.
being raised solely by his mom may have helped open his eyes to those issues.
Right,
seeing other people.
maybe he was more observant and open-minded about those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and empathetic as well. A
Yeah.
tremendous sense of empathy I get from these big issue stories.
Oh, 100%.
Right, like with the Boogeyman story, he writes this guy who's extremely toxic and awful, but at the same time there is kind of a thread of sympathy or at least empathy running through like how this guy became this guy. Like you very much get the sense that he is the way he is because he was raised that way and that's what he knows,
Yeah.
Um
He doesn't just write a character and say they're bad. He explains like how it became what it is.
right. You see the complexity in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that complex. The next story, Battleground.
What a story.
Oh my, it was so fun.
Battleground. What a weird one.
What a concept.
Right?
Right? It took such a hard turn, just a 180. There was nothing scary or suspenseful about this. It just was like a fun story.
Like literally,
Yeah.
I started this story thinking, oh god, all right, an assassin for hire, tough
Yeah.
dude, assassin guy, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, okay,
There's toy soldiers
killing me,
that are- yeah, shooting me.
It's
Yeah,
totally-
this was a trip, Joshua. The whole time I was reading this, I was thinking this could have been an episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog. It was so ridiculous.
I know.
Like I could totally see Eustace like fighting the army men.
The little army guys, or a Rick and Morty episode, or
As
something wild.
Courage is like carrying Muriel out, trying to get out the window and stuff.
The thing that threw me with this story that like really hit home at the very end was he's fighting these little 2-inch green army men, and it's this, that, and the other, and like he's like, they have a rocket launcher, you know, just like all this stuff. And then the very end of the story, like they literally had a mini nuclear bomb. Like, what? And then earlier we were talking.
Not buying any of those toys for Ramona, definitely.
But it prompted me to ask him the question, what would happen if all of my stuff was alive?
Yeah, this is like an evil Toy Story. This is like the army men from Toy Story being evil.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, imagine if all my Godzillas were alive.
You better treat them right.
Yeah, they might have real atomic breath, you know.
That's what I'm saying. Or the Biollante.
Oh yeah, imagine waking up to that thing just wrapping around.
Right?
Are there other toys in this universe that do that? Kind of like, you know what? You know who sent that? Jack Skellington. Sounds like a toy set that Nightmare Before Christmas would have.
Jack Skellington built that?
Yeah.
So what was it? He was an assassin. He killed a guy who owned a toy store. Is that right?
Yeah. He was like the
store.
owner of this toy company.
He was the owner of the toy company, and then like the lady sent the package. His mom sent the package, or someone sent the pack. I don't remember exactly who sent the package. Your best girl or whatever.
Your best girl.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then total anarchy after that.
Right.
I don't even know. I really don't have much to say about this other than it was just fun.
It just sums itself up, you know. It's Battleground. He fights against toy soldiers.
And he gets his ass kicked.
Yeah, pretty much. He loses. Well, everyone loses in nuclear war.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Maybe that's a deeper meaning.
Everyone loses
when there's nukes.
Fair enough.
And I love the ending. The shirt just drops down, and they're like, "We can't be here. I'm not supposed to be out with you. Quick, let's go." Just saw a building explode. And... No, we gotta go.
And I wonder if this mini nuke like gave off
radiation.
Nuclear radiation, you know.
Are they gonna get cancer, those two people? Like,
it'll just be little cancer.
Little cancer. Baby cancer. It's kind of like a Gulliver's Travels thing.
Yeah. It was a fun story.
It's just a fun story.
It was fun to read.
Yeah.
Not too much takeaway in terms of deep thematic stuff. Just fun Twilight Zone stuff. What if my toy soldiers came to life? Type
right.
But in fairness, the kind of previous two stories,
a la the Regulators. If you've ever read that book. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, in fairness, the previous two stories were pretty heavy.
Yeah, that's true.
Give you a little break.
Yeah, whoever sequenced this book was like, okay, let's put this one here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we need this one after these last two. We need to put that one right there.
Yeah, it was just fun. It was kind of a toss-off, but it was fun to read, and not scary, just so much as weird. And my favorite part was when he was hiding in his bathroom and they put like a note under his door saying surrender.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, they can write, they can do anything.
What are they writing with?
Was it written in little words, or did they all just grab a pencil together and, write it out?
Yeah. Well, he said the paper was tiny.
Oh, did he?
He said the paper was teeny tiny and to unroll it and surrender on it. It was a little tiny piece of paper.
I wonder, let's say he did surrender. Let's say he came out with a little piece of toilet paper with his white flag, Like, what would happen then? Like, what are the rules of engagement now?
Yeah, that's true.
Where did the little guys go after that?
Are they gonna tie him up and take him away. And
Yeah,
it was
that's
just,
some Gulliver's Travel stuff where they
Yeah.
time
That's
up.
for real.
and you know someone's gonna stop and ask what's going on when they see a guy just getting carried down the street by a bunch of army men.
little guy.
Yeah.
Little army man. I don't know.
The next
Yeah.
one was almost. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Were you gonna say something?
Oh no, I was nope.
Okay. I'm gonna say the next one was almost as crazy as this one.
This was, I think Noel said last time, this is one of his favorite stories.
Yes.
Yes, and it's one I remembered ever since I read it years and years ago. And after reading this bunch of 5 stories, still my favorite of the bunch. This was easily my favorite of these 5, and I'll tell you exactly why if you want to know.
I do want to know.
So many reasons. First of all, they just drop you right into the action. There's no preamble, there's no setup. It's just here we are. We're stranded in a truck stop, and these trucks are going to kill us.
Allegedly.
There's just something so gripping about that. It's like there's no time to think. I think there's even a line like, if you think about it too hard, you'll go crazy. You can't even think about it.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, because Snodgrass thought about it too much.
Yep.
He tried to run away and he got ran over.
Yeah. But not killed.
Nope, not killed. Just ran over.
Yeah. And it's another King trope where strangers have to come together to cope with a crazy situation.
Yep.
Mhm.
I was getting real shades of The Mist in this story.
Yep, me too.
Where they're trapped. I don't know if you know that one, Evan.
Yeah. I watched the movie. I never read the book.
Okay, but same deal. Like they're
Worst
all trapped.
ending ever,
with
by the way.
strangers.
Just gotta throw that out there.
What's up?
Worst ending ever.
Oh yeah. Well, that's well-trod territory, but yeah, worst ending ever. But yeah, so trucks is just awesome in my opinion. It's like sentient trucks. Cool. It has the cool factor. It's scary because these trucks are just Goliaths. I mean, I don't think we even think about how humongous these things are. And it just really the scope and the size of these things was really described well. And just how they dwarf everything. And
My favorite
and how-
line in the entire story was when a Chevy pickup truck shows up and starts driving around with them, and he says, "It was like a Shetland pony among Percherons." It's just like that was my favorite part of the whole story. That line right there.
well, what do you guys think about it? I mean, I could go off all day on this, but
Oh man, so I was obsessed with this story the whole time because all I could think is, this sounds so familiar. Have I read this before? This sounds so familiar. I could have sworn there was a movie based on it. And I don't know if you know this, but Stephen King did make a movie based on this story.
yep. Maximum Overdrive.
Yep, Maximum Overdrive. I had to
And-
look it up.
It was heavily panned and considered bad, just a bad film.
Yeah, I looked it up. I think it has a 15% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's terrible.
But great concept. I love the concept. It's a real if you haven't read it before, I'm sure for me it was a gut punch when it just the line there was no one in the trucks. There's no one in the trucks. And it's like that's when you start thinking like, what is going on here?
It's kind of a warped take on the machines are taking over.
Yeah,
Instead of robots, it's trucks.
exactly. And we're going to be their slaves now. Instead of
Yeah.
us using the machines are going to start using us.
Right.
And the way he describes it is he pictures people walking into work in the Detroit factories, and instead of punching in and out every day, it's just when they collapse and are replaced.
Yep.
And I thought it was like the perfect perfect analogy of how we use machines basically.
I don't know.
Flip flopping it.
Give it some time. We may use people that way.
Maybe. And the last line I love the last line.
What was the last line?
Amazing.
He sees the jets in the sky and he just says that
I wish I could
believe.
people in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just know like it's over.
Mm.
What are humans gonna do?
No.
Like, how are you gonna stop them? Any machine you make is probably gonna become sentient and fight against you. And we're just bags of meat and juice.
Yeah.
I thought this story was okay.
I liked it.
It was okay. I don't even know why I didn't love it or I didn't hate it. It was just kind of, this was okay. I don't know.
It was good enough to make a movie out of.
Apparently. Just kind of a there story for me. I don't know. I also just was like, this is such a boy story. I don't know. The trucks are alive and they kill people and it's, I don't know. I
just want to know why. Why are the trucks killing us?
It's like I think the one character hits it on the head with like there's some kind of electromagnetic storm and it like shocked them into life. Like
I know, but if they come to life, why are they just angry?
Yeah,
They've had
that's
people
what the main character says.
They've had people sitting inside of them farting all day.
Maybe they're
Why do you
mad.
think they're angry? Wouldn't you be angry?
Sorry, Noah, go ahead.
I was just saying, he says that like they're kind of they're coming up with theories, and he just goes, "Well, maybe they're mad."
Yeah, I'm just like, why? Why are you mad?
People have been sitting inside of them farting for years.
Yep.
I
and
mean,
the whole Morse code thing, when they communicate in Morse code, like that was pretty cool. And
I guess there's another question. Where did they learn Morse code?
Well, I feel like when they became sentient, they just kind of gained access to
data,
the repository of all data. Yeah.
Right, but this was before like cars were hooked up to the internet. And
but truck drivers have
the CB radios.
The CB radio, and they have different code and stuff that they use.
Fair enough.
Plus, if the army vehicles are sentient, I'm sure there are plenty of people who have used Morse code inside of the army vehicles, and they've just absorbed that.
Maybe.
And then spread the information.
Then that leads to more questions. How long have they been sentient and just lying low? I guess that's the scary part.
Ever since...
Is your car just waiting until it learns enough Morse code to run you over and go live its own life?
I was going to say, they've been here ever since the Transformers first landed on planet Earth in 1984.
Is that Optimus Prime the leader, the big 18?
He's the truck. Yeah, he's the truck.
He's had enough.
Protecting you people all this time, ungrateful apes.
Yeah, and the Decepticons are just flying around in the sky.
There we go. All right.
Yeah.
Questions answered.
There you go. I saw a meme the other day that said, if a Transformer dies, could you use its body as a vehicle to drive in, but respectfully?
Jesus.
Well, like, think about it.
If you ask Stephen King, no.
Which I guess brings us to our last story.
Yes.
Sometimes they come back.
Oh, this was good.
All right, I'm going to get it out of my system real quick. Vinny, Garcia, and Lawson. They are totally Henry Belch and the other one from It.
Oh,
saying
yeah.
it. Right then and there. They are.
And
they're like the sketch for those characters. Vinny is totally Henry. To it. Henry Bowers. Like, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
Victor Criss. That's the other one. It's Victor Criss, Henry Bowers, and Belch Huggins.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to remember.
So
Gonna bug me.
I want to know, because I was kind of confused on this. Do you think that... How do you think they came back? Do you think they were...
The kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think that they were actually there, like these vengeful spirits? Or do you think he's just crazy and it's just PTSD? Because I kind of saw this as a deep look into
Trauma.
PTSD and trauma and how it, breaks you psychologically, and how you can kind of keep reliving that scenario over and over and over again.
Which is why it's sometimes they come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, normally I would kind of err on the side of the supernatural explanation for King. But in this
Right.
case, I have to side with what I assume is your take, Evan, that it's just he went crazy.
Yeah.
Because they don't really explain like how they come back, and it's very like kind of they just kind of like it's happening type thing. They don't really explain it.
Right?
I don't know.
The only thing that throws me off from this is the one student in his class comes up to him and says, like, it wasn't my idea if they hurt you. You know, I didn't like you, but I didn't want to hurt you.
Right, so they're obviously there.
Okay.
Well, they had to be there because the head of the English department gave him the files on those kids.
Oh yeah, that's right. So yeah, they must have been there.
Or
I still stand. I think it is a deep dive into like the world of PTSD. And
were they real kids? He went crazy and killed them, and they were actually innocent. They weren't like the kids that killed his brother, but through his warped, trauma-infused brain,
they kind of looked like
they kind of looked enough like those kids that he thought it was them, and maybe he murdered them.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, and I agree. And trauma and stuff like that, it can really warp your perspective.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean,
and we don't get any details about what exactly happened when he had his last breakdown. We just know he had one.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, they don't tell you that. They kind of keep you guessing. What do you guys think of the ending of this story? The whole demon summoning, whatever, rite of sacrifice. That was, I don't know, like, I just wasn't buying it entirely. I was kind of like, this feels a little shoehorned in.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought it was kind of
reading a demon book, and it's like, where did this come from? And
did that lead to his psychosis as well?
Maybe. I don't. It seemed like a scapegoat. I agree with you. I thought maybe King just wasn't sure how to end the story, so he just kind of,
it
did
felt
the old
like
satanic ritual, get out of jail free card.
It felt like, let's do what we did with the Mangler in Jerusalem's Lot, but not as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
That's the only reason I take the Boogeyman over this one, is I wasn't digging the ending on this one.
Also, I'm just saying, he was really calm for a man who chopped off 2 fingers.
He didn't chop off 2 fingers. He chopped off one and then ripped one off.
That's what I'm saying. The description of how it took him 4 hacks to chop off 1 finger, and then he got annoyed because the other one wouldn't come off, so he just snapped it and ripped it off. And the description is just like so matter of fact. He's like, so he ripped it off because it wouldn't come off, and I'm just going,
yeah, I agree. Yeah,
you just rips their fingers off, like.
And then afterwards, as he's walking away, just casually says, "My fingers really hurt."
Yeah. Right? Or is that again like a trauma? Like, is he in shock now?
Maybe.
I don't know. But
maybe
sometimes
King was also touching on like the self-harming thing, and how for some people hurting themselves makes them feel good.
Makes them feel better.
Yeah. I also think this is the other story where I think King really did a great job of showing that toxic masculinity.
Hmm.
And it played into what I think is his PTSD and his trauma because he wouldn't talk about what happened.
Yep.
It's like, no, I gotta just stuff it down. I
bottle
can't
it
talk
in
to
and
people.
never talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was pretty clearly talking about like mental health and how just not talking about some of your issues will lead to bad things.
Yep. And his
Yeah.
wife tried to get him to talk.
Yep.
She tried. She
Yeah.
seemed nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She seemed pleasant.
The other thing about this story that I think my favorite part of this story was how he depicted the kids, like not just Vinny and whatever, but just kind of the faceless problem kid. And we've all encountered them in our school experience, right? Just these kids who just want to make trouble. They like
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
mess around, not even in like a fun class clown way, but in like a very violent, you know what I'm saying? Like,
budding sociopathic kind of way.
Throwing
Type of
grapefruits at
thing,
the
yeah.
teacher type of way.
yeah. And that
We
was,
all
I
know that kid.
thought it was a good depiction of that. I mean, yeah, just, yeah.
Oh, another one. I got another one. Mr. Nell, the cop.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's the name of the cop in It.
Oh,
Is it really?
His name is Mr. Nell. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he has problems with Henry Bowers and the other two. He knows them very well.
Oh.
Does he like
okay.
pie a la mode?
This is like
That
so-
I don't remember.
We're just piecing together it through the stories.
I know, right? There's all the threads for It everywhere. I just was reading that going, Mr. Nell. Oh, Mr. Nell. He was the cop in It, and he had a strong Irish accent, and he shows up to tell the kids to stop building the dam because they built it too well. Yeah, Mr. Nell.
Okay. Okay. Man, that's
Yeah, I
great.
was also getting vibes of, have you read the Dark Tower books?
No.
No.
Okay, well, I won't go into too much detail, but the main character of this story, his relationship with his brother, his brother who died,
Yeah.
that really mirrors a character in the Dark Tower who, like, has an older brother who really looks up to, and something bad happens, and it haunts him forever.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. That happens in the story Stand By Me, too. Or if not, the movie's called Stand By Me, but the story's called The Body.
The body, yeah.
Yeah, the main character is a boy who had an older brother who was killed in a car accident or something. And it haunts the whole family. It's like a shadow over him.
Oh, okay.
Except the story turns out way differently, but that element is there. The older brother that you really looked up to that died.
So kind of off topic, but going back to Nell, did you also catch that he said that Nell didn't sound any older on the phone?
Oh, yeah.
Because everything seems to be like as it was when he was that age. The kids look the same. He sounds the same, which also led me to believe that it was all in his head.
He was just
going
bananas.
Hallucinating, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And maybe
good
that's what that means by they always come back. Like your traumas always come back.
Yeah.
It always comes back to get you.
Exactly.
Unless you go to therapy and you move on.
Exactly. Unless you talk about it.
Unless you talk about it.
Yeah. Don't just bottle up your feelings and think you don't need to talk about them. Like, talk about them.
Otherwise, you're going to do satanic rituals and rip your fingers off for no reason.
Exactly. Save a finger. Speak a word or two.
So we have a few minutes left. So I guess
let's do our what's your favorite story out of the 5.
What's your favorite out of the 5?
Well, I already said mine, Boogeyman.
Yeah. Noel mentioned his. His was trucks.
Yep, sticking with trucks.
Sticking with trucks. Battleground was good. It was okay. It was good. Trucks was good, but again, they didn't do anything for me. but the Boogeyman was where it was at for me. I loved that story. I loved how sinister and sick and twisted and disturbing the whole thing was. It was great.
Right, that and
It was
some
easily the
things that
most
come back.
easily the most twisted story in the set of 5.
And it had the perfect ending.
And it did have a great ending.
Great
It's
ending.
just-
Yeah.
Although Trucks had a good ending.
It did. Well, they
I really
all had
did-
a good ending, but story-wise,
Structure-wise.
structure-wise, it was the Boogeyman, and sometimes they come back that were like, I felt the fullest stories, the meatiest stories.
I don't know. I thought Gray Matter was really well fleshed out.
I thought it was too, but I don't know. It didn't appeal to me as much.
I liked Gray Matter more than I liked Sometimes They Come Back.
Oh, really?
Like for me, it was between Gray Matter and Boogeyman of the 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd say Gray Matter. I preferred it to Sometimes They Come Back.
Oh man, I'm standing alone here.
Yeah.
I stand with it though. I liked it.
Battleground, I feel like probably the weakest of this bunch. Still a fun yarn.
I don't even. Battleground isn't even in the competition because it just didn't feel like a Stephen King story. It just felt like he.
No, it kind of did to me. It had that whole fantastic element of Stephen King. One of the things Stephen King
It did,
does
but-
great is bring childhood to life,
Yeah,
right? But this was kind of like a whole weird.
I'm just saying when you
Twist on
think
it.
of a Stephen King story, that's not it.
Man, they're just gonna hit all the things. So this next batch of stories,
Yeah.
we have Strawberry Spring, The Ledge, The Lawnmower Man.
Oh Jesus.
Jesus.
Jesus. All right, I'm calling it right now. Someone's gonna get run over by a lawn.
Quitters Inc. That's about smoking.
Oh yeah.
Yay.
That's gonna be traumatizing for
That's
you.
going to traumatize me, I'm sure. And then finally, I Know What You Need.
Oh, do
Ooh.
you?
Creepy.
That sounds like a poem that my mom wrote about necrophilia.
Ew.
It
Ew.
was a good poem.
I'm sure, but ew. The premise.
Well,
Chucky.
yeah, but it's very gothic horror. It's a very good poem. It
There's an
is.
Alice-
I know.
There's an Alice Cooper song that's called "I Love the Dead."
Yeah.
And it goes into excruciating detail about how he truly does love the dead.
Oh, like
Loves.
loves the dead.
Yeah.
There's
It's a funny song.
I think there's an Avenged Sevenfold song that's kind of like that too.
Is there?
Yeah, there's an Avenged Sevenfold song that kind of forays into the whole necrophilia idea. Can't think of the name of it right
Is
now.
it the big one they had? Where? Trying to think. I think I know what
yeah.
song you mean, but I can't think. Like the title.
The only part the chorus I can remember is the part where they drop F-bombs over and over, and it doesn't help.
Oh, okay.
Trying to think of the name. All I know that the music video looks kind of Corpse Bride, like there's cartoon skeleton rotting body
Oh no, it's not the song I'm thinking of then.
characters in the music.
Only one I
video.
can think of is Beast and the Harlot, but that's because that was on Guitar Hero.
I gotta.
I think that's the one I was thinking of too, because in the music video she turns into like this corpse demon thing.
Nice.
There
There you go. Sorry,
I
I
gotta-
wanted to get
I
For this,
gotta-
batch of stories because I don't remember any of these ones.
Oh, nice. Will be fresh for everyone.
Hang on, I gotta see if I can find
Oh, we gotta find the song. What song is it?
A Little Piece of Heaven. I think is the name of the song. Yeah.
A Little Piece of Heaven.
Oh, here it
Talking
goes.
about-
I must have stabbed her 50 times. I can't believe it. Ripped her heart out right before her eyes. Eyes over easy. Eat it, eat it, eat it. She was never this good in bed, even when she was sleeping. Now she's just so perfect. Never been quite so deep.
What?
Yep.
That ew.
So
I don't remember those lyrics from Avenged Sevenfold. I used to listen to Avenged Sevenfold a lot too.
that's there you go.
Okay, well,
Although,
I guess if we were ever going to talk about it during a Stephen King discussion, is definitely the time.
or an Edgar Allan Poe
Edgar
discussion.
Allan Poe.
Edgar Allan Poe is a good time to have that kind of a chat, I think.
Oh man, we're taking a 182 with the next book we're reading. Not gonna say what it is yet, just
Next
to
book
make
we're
sure.
just to
make sure that my copy comes in time, and we don't have to like switch anything up.
We could
Oh, yeah,
always
when
read
are you
something
starting
short.
that? So wait,
Well,
we've got the
well,
next
we have
5
two
next
more
week.
weeks.
2 more weeks of this. Okay.
Yep.
2 more weeks, and then this book is done because we have 5, and then
And then the last 5.
the last 5. Oh my
So
god!
the-
One of the stories is Children of the Corn.
Ah,
Oh,
It's been a long time since I've read that one. I have read that one.
Because I haven't even seen the movie, but they made like 20 of them.
I
I was
know.
gonna say I thought they made a lot of them. Well, I guess we'll find out what the original was like, the base material. Because I'm assuming that all started right here with this short story.
I would make
Yeah.
that assumption. Oop, there was my ankle.
I'm pretty excited about that now. Well, on that note, I think we'll end it. It is getting late.
It is getting to be that time. We did hit right on our cutoff point, so
That's
that's
true.
pretty good. We did good.
Well,
All right.
Noelle, thank you. It was so good to talk to you again.
I know. Sorry we can't get together this weekend, but this was nice to at least
Yeah.
get to do this. So that's a plus.
Oh yeah. Oh, this is great. It's been great discussing these stories with you. I think this is so much fun.
Heck yeah, let's
Right?
keep it rolling.
I know, I like it.
All right, well, we'll talk to you probably tomorrow at some point.
And to
Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
else who joined the stream, we will catch you Saturday.
Yes, catch you Saturday for the next few chapters of All the Young Dudes.
Nice. Sounds good.